Let's talk about the greatest common factor of two numbers. So the greatest common factor and this is often abbreviated as the GCF of two numbers, and we'll go for natural numbers, is the largest, because it's greatest, right, natural number that evenly divides both. Okay, the greatest common factor, or GCF, of two natural numbers is the largest natural number that evenly divides both. Okay, for example, the greatest common factor of 8 and 12 is 4. Okay, and that's because 4 evenly divides 8. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 evenly divides 12. 8 divided by 12 is 3. And there's no bigger number that does that. 5 doesn't divide either. 6 doesn't divide 8. 7 doesn't divide either. 8 divides 8, but not 12. And then I'm out of numbers. So 4 is the greatest common factor. Let me show you the steps to finding such a thing. So steps to find greatest common factor. And this is going to go back to that prime factorization thing that we've talked about. So step 1 is find the prime factorization of both numbers. Numbers. Step 2 is how we're going, or when we're actually going to write down what the prime factorization is. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to write down each prime that appears in both factorizations to the lowest power it appears. The idea here is if it's going to divide both of them, it has to be a factor of both of them, right? So if we write down each prime that's in both to the smallest power it appears and multiply those together, that should be our greatest common factor. One caveat, if there are no primes that appear in both, the greatest common factor is 1 instead, which makes sense, right? If I can't divide it by any prime divide them both by any prime number, then the greatest common factor has to be 1. 1 is the biggest number that I could divide both of them by. Okay, so let's do just an example, and let's actually do the example that I gave above. Let's find the prime factorizations, or sorry, find the greatest common factor of 8 and 12. So step 1, find the prime factorizations of both numbers. So let's start with 8. 8 is 2 times 4, going back to that factor tree idea. 4 is 2 times 2. So 8 is 2 cubed. Okay, then 12. 12 is, let's say, 3 times 4. 3 is prime. 4 is 2 times 2. So 12 is 2 squared times 3. Now, I'm looking for factors that appear in both. So the only prime factor that appears in both is 2, and the smaller power between 3 and 2 is this 2. So 2 squared, or 4, is the greatest common factor, just like we talked about on that first slide.